Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first lesson of 2025 for my monthly membership series, Swingin' Over Standards. Over the course of this month, we'll cover the tune All of Me. In this first lesson, we'll break down the solo that I just played. Throughout this solo, I was trying to keep in mind the melody and embellish the melody with basic arpeggios, single note lines, chordal stabs, and rhythmic fills. These are all essential aspects of playing swing guitar. If you haven't already, please download the PDF of the tab and standard notation, and we'll cover this solo. In the next lesson, we'll take a look at a simple Freddie Green rhythm guitar arrangement using the chord voices at the top of the music. To begin the phrase, we'll be working out of our C chord E shape between the 8th and 10th frets. We have the pickups into this phrase. So I'm starting on my G note to my A, landing on the C, then coming down the melody, all triad based, and then doing a quick chordal stab of just a dyad, the C and E out of the C chord triad, and then immediately coming up to my C note on the 8th fret and playing this nice phrase where I'm enclosing the E by playing F, D, D sharp, E. To get down to that, I'm trying to think of where I want to begin and where I want to end. So I'm doing a C, D, C, quick slide down to the B, and then I'm coming down my pool of notes, A, G, all diatonic to C. And then when I hit that G, I'm beginning to think of that enclosure move. This is a pretty standard cliche where you start on the 5th, you go to the 4th, and then you approach the 3rd from the 2nd chromatically. That's a good one to get under your fingers. So that is my phrase over C. I'm using a little bit of the melody, a chordal stab, and then a basic single note phrase. From there, I have the E chord. So I have this as my E or E7 phrase. So I'm starting on this E here, and I'm visualizing my E7 chord. I play E, F, G sharp, A, B, C. Now here's a trick. Whenever you have a 5 chord, you can just play half steps off the triad to get kind of like an altered sound. Another way of thinking about it is just playing all of the notes in C, but adjusting for the one unique note leading to the E chord, and that is a G sharp. So I have this landing back on the B here. But you can see how we're just working up these half steps for that kind of diminished or altered sound. I tend to think of it as half steps off the triad. And now I'm going to come down and play an E7 flat 9 chord. The reason I'm playing a flat 9 is because we're in the key of C for the song, and that F note is still diatonic to C, so it sounds really nice in the context of the E chord. So I have a full G sharp, D, and F, 3 notes there. 2 notes on the 4th and 3rd string, that's the G sharp and D, and then a full 4-note voicing for a shell chord using the 5th on the top for the melody, the B note. From there, I'm moving on to my A7 to D minor change. We're going to use another altered voicing. This will be the A7 flat 9 to the D minor 7. And these are the two chords I'm visualizing here. My phrase sounds like this. So a good rule of thumb is to always include the flat 9 from a 5 chord when you're going into a minor chord. That's why I'm using the B flat here. So in this phrase, I have, quoting the melody, and then I'm going to play a D to a C sharp, up the arpeggio to the flat 9. C sharp, E, G, B flat, and then a trill here, A, B flat, A, G, F, E, G. That's all over the A7. So you can see I'm using a little bit of the melody and then embellishing with an arpeggio and the pool of notes. And then for the D minor, I have, so that's F, E, D, E, C sharp to D to resolve. That's a nice allusion back to that A7 chord. And then a quick little chordal stab into the D minor 7. So you can see the ingredients I'm working, and the theme I'm trying to develop is a melody, a chordal stab, and then a phrase, or melody, phrase, chordal stab. That's the theme here. A good way to organize your solo. From then, I'm moving on to the E7 to the A minor. So I have this phrase. Again, I'm thinking of the flat 9, going from the 5 of A, which is E, to that A minor. So I have, so I'm quoting the melody again, E, a quick chordal stab on the 3rd and the flat 7th, and then up the arpeggio using the flat 9, G sharp, B, D, F, G sharp, B. And I'm just visualizing this E7 flat 9 chord here. Once I hit that note, I'm now going into my A minor with the D and the melody. So the melody sounds just kind of simply like D to C. So I want to embellish it a little bit using this A minor 11 chord. So I'm visualizing this A minor, A, E, G, and C here. Pinky on top. Bring it back down to the C. Half step. Release back up. Pinky on, pinky off. So it's a nice little chordal phrase using some half step maneuvers that is frequently heard in players like Barney Kessel. So we can have this for that A minor. From there, I have a D7 to D minor G7 change. So I'm going to anticipate the D7 by playing on the 4 and like so, and then so I'm seeing that B, B flat, A, and then a quick trill down to the A flat to come back to the A, surrounding that note. So I have, and then I have this phrase over the D minor. So I'm playing just a quote of the melody, A, B, D, B, and then D minor highlighting the A melody note. And then I'm taking a diminished voicing up from the B, C, C sharp, and D because I'm looking ahead of where I'm going, and that is a G7 or G7 flat 9. So I'm just incorporating that with the diminished. We have the G7 already here, just moving it up, moving it up, moving it up. And then I come down to play the G7 flat 9 phrase to launch me back into the next section. So I have this diminished down a minor third because they move in minor thirds. And then I'm going to take this and move it down to a D minor and then a G7 flat 9. When you listen to the great swing and bop players, they usually don't differentiate between the 2 minor and the 5 chord on 2 5s. You can use either chord over any particular chord in that set and have a nice melody and harmony there. So a cool thing to think about is whenever you're playing over the D minor to evoke the G7 sound, whenever you're playing the G7 to evoke the D minor sound, or just use one or the other to gloss over both. And that's what we're doing here. So now we're coming into the C chord again. So I have as my first phrase. So again, kind of alluding to what we did at the opening of the song. I have the stab, and then the only new thing here is a C major 7 arpeggio. Like so. So I have this B, C, D, B, C, E, G, B, up to the D, C, and then I'm going to slide in to the B to set up my E chord here. Okay, so once I do that, I now have this like so. So I'm just sliding into the triads B, G sharp, E, and then playing an E7 dyad here with the G sharp and the D. From there, I'm playing the A7 to D minor move again, so I have this one. So this is a little more chordal. I'm playing the melody again. And then I'm going to grab G and C sharp and then slide into it. Get the flat 9 on the top there with the A7. And then release it to the single note and then play the second, third, and fourth string here into my D minor with the G note in the melody. That's a D minor 11, kind of like this. But we're just going to use the 3-note voicing on the second, third, and fourth string, like so. After that, I'm coming now to a new change. We have an F to an F minor, and then a 1, 6, 2, 5. So we have this. We'll play. Down to the 1 and 6. So we play the D for the F. That's highlighting the 6th of F. Then there's a little dyad of D and A flat. That's the 6th and 3rd of F, or flat 3rd. And we have the F minor chord here. And once I resolve out of that, I'm going to play down to B, A, G, F, E, D, C sharp. And then highlight the B on top of the first string. So this is a good move to have. It's a 1 to 6 move you hear all the swing players play. It's a cliche where you start on either the 1 or the major 7th of the 1 chord, and you work down all the diatonic notes until you get to the 3rd of the 6th chord. Probably the most famous example of this is Donna Lee. That's what Charlie Parker does in the melody there. So we have that move, and then we'll set up the 2-5 D minor to G7, and that phrase sounds like this quarterly. So I'm just playing around with the triad and the melody notes here. I have A, C, A in the lower part of the triad and in the higher part of the triad. So then up to my G7 with the 9 and 13. Then I'm going to play the bass note here. That's the B, the 3rd. And then go back and forth between the 13 and the 5 and the melody. So I have right here. And to finish this off, I'm going to play this phrase. So I'm sliding up into my C, B, A, G, F, and close the E with the E flat. That is a 4th to flat 3rd to major 3rd enclosure. C, A, C, and then land on a C chord with the added major 7th and 13 or 6th. So that's going to be the full solo, utilizing this pattern of melody, chord stab, phrase, or melody, phrase, chord stab throughout. I hope you can pick up some of these ideas and begin to incorporate them into your own playing, and then work on developing them using this solo as a template. In the next lesson, we'll go over the rhythm guitar voicings in the style of Freddie Green.